show you how to use the Makey Play-Doh and alligator clips to play Mario on the Chromebook. So to begin, we're going to plug in the Makey to the computer, and it will light up. To make our controls, we are going to use Play-Doh because it can conduct things like electricity. So for Mario, I need 2 arrow keys and the space bar for jumping. Right. So then, for the jumping key, I'm going to put this into the W slot, and I'm going to use the alligator clips to connect it to Play-Doh. And then to ground myself to the board, I'm going to connect it to one of the spaces along the edge here, along the red edge. And I'm going to clip that somewhere on myself. So either on your finger, that's kind of painful actually, I don't know. But it's gotta touch somewhere on your own skin.
Hi everyone, today we are reading some books for Kid Inventor Day. So I have a couple of books here. We're going to start with Aura, the Star Engineer. This is written by Kamal Singh, and it is published by Scholastic. Hello world, I am Aura. This is my assistant Dee Dee. We both love to learn about big numbers. Did you know there is a number with 100 zeros in it? It is called Google. Google was named by a 9-year-old kid. Did you know that my name Aura is also the name of a constellation with 7 stars? But there are way more than 7 stars out there. I wonder how many. A zillion? A gazillion? A Google? Let's find out. To count such a big number of stars very fast, I'll need the help of a computer. Like you, Dee Dee, how do I program you to count stars? Oh, of course. Dee Dee was invented by engineer superheroes at Innovation Plex. I bet they would love to help us. Okay, Dee Dee, let's go to the Plex. The first person I met is Kripa, the prolific problem solver. She's in the data center, surrounded by huge computers and many screens that show some kind of scary crisis. Her team is panicking, but she is calm. How do you figure out the problem and keep thousands of computers running? I ask. Let's analyze, says Kripa. Any big problem can be solved with a plan. Each of these screens give us a peek into the larger problem. You look at each screen one at a time, and you work on one small part of the problem at a time. The big problem is solved and doesn't seem so scary anymore. Aha! I get it. I can come up with my own plan. I can break down the big problem of counting so many stars by galaxies and count them one galaxy at a time. I admire your courage, Aura, to solve such a big problem, says Kripa. Good luck. Next, we meet Parissa, the intrepid innovator. She's in the ideas lab, pondering big problems. What makes you an innovator? I quiz her excitedly. Parissa smiles. I create new solutions that make computers solve big problems. Great. I have a plan for counting stars, but I still have so many questions. Let's brainstorm, says Parissa. You can start by writing an algorithm. Algorithm? That's a big word. Parissa hands me a cupcake. It's just a fancy name for a recipe. Like a recipe, an algorithm is a set of step-by-step instructions to get something done. We brainstorm together and come up with a recipe, an algorithm for my plan. I'm impressed by your creativity, Ara, in creating an algorithm all on your own. But how will Dee Dee understand a brand new algorithm? Dee Dee has only been programmed to do easy tasks. Carissa smiles. For that, you need to turn your algorithm into code. Next, we meet Diane, the code commander. She's in the coding pods, directing a fleet of computers. Can you actually command computers? I asked her curiously. I sure can, Diane says, by writing code. Just as people speak and write in different languages, we use coding languages to communicate with computers. That's what I need to do, I say. I have an algorithm, and now I need to code it. Let's program, says Diane. We jump into coding basics. It's tricky, but fun. Aha! At last, we have robust code to communicate my algorithm to Dee Dee. I love your eagerness to code, Ara, says Diane. That gives you the power to communicate with any computer. I feel proud. And now I'm ready to count the stars. Okay, Dee Dee, let's launch. Ready, set, go! Dee Dee starts to count, displays a number, but stops. Oh no, Dee Dee has an error. I slump down. I'm so disappointed. Engineering something new is so tough. I say to Dee Dee, I don't think I can do it. You're right, Dee Dee. I'm a problem solver. I won't give up. So we go to meet Marion, the tenacious troubleshooter. She's in the X space designing and fixing all sorts of machines. Dee Dee has an error and can't count enough stars. Can you help us? I ask her hopefully. Absolutely, answers Marion. Let's improve Dee Dee. She takes a closer look. It looks like Dee Dee needs more computing power. She hands me a processor and a memory chip. Aha, together we successfully troubleshoot Dee Dee. I really like your spirit of collaboration, Ara, Marion proclaims. Working as a team with so many engineers has helped you fix problems faster. Okay, Dee Dee, let's launch version 2. We are ready to count the stars. Ready, set, go. Whoa, what a huge number of stars. Even more than a Google. Success! Just as all the engineers cheer us, I share another discovery with everyone. I know an amazing algorithm to solve any problem. Courage, creativity, code, and collaboration. Right, Dee Dee? This book here is a Simon & Schuster published book. It's called Ada Lovelace, Poet of Science, the First Computer Programmer, and it was written by Diane Stanley. Long, long ago, on a cold winter day, a lonely girl walked from room to room in a big, old, dark country house. Her name was Ada Byron, and she was looking for something to do. Ada was good at imagining things. She imagined it would be fun to fly. Then she went about it in a scientific way. First, she studied the flight and anatomy of birds. She decided her wings would be like theirs, only larger in proportion to her size. She would build the frames out of sturdy wire so her wings would be strong, then cover the frame with oil-rubbed silk so they would also be light. Finally, she designed a harness to attach the wings to her back. She thought it would be fun to fly from house to house delivering the mail. She'd need to bring a bag for carrying the letters, a map, and compass for navigation. She decided to write a book about her flying project, illustrated with pictures and diagrams. She would call it Flyology. And when she had finished that, Ada had a plan to build a steam-powered flying horse. Her mother, Lady Byron, was away at the time, so Ada sent regular updates on the flying project. She signed the letters, Your Affectionate Young Turkey, or Your Affectionate Carrier Pigeon. She had never been so happy. But Lady Byron was worried. Ada seemed overexcited. Worse, she showed dangerous signs of too much imagination. In other words, she was acting like her father. Ada's parents were as different as chalk and cheese. Her father, the famous poet Lord Byron, was a worldwide celebrity, the rock star of his time. Her mother, Lady Byron, was interested in math and science. She was rational, respectable, and strict. The marriage only lasted a year. Ada never knew her father. He left England soon after she was born and died in faraway Greece when she was 8. She wasn't even sure what he looked like. His portrait had been covered with a cloth. Being Lord Byron's daughter shaped Ada's childhood in important ways. Ada's mother wanted her to be calm and rational, not emotional and creative like her father. She hoped the study of math and science would suppress her daughter's imagination, so Ada was given a world-class scientific education. Her imagination was not harmed in the least. Ada loved machines. She lived during the Industrial Revolution when things were once made by hand, from ribbons and spoons to paper and glass, were being mass-produced in factories. When Lady Byron suggested a trip to see the new factories, Ada was thrilled to go. Everything they saw was interesting, but by far the best was the mechanical loom, designed by a Frenchman, Joseph Marie Jacquard. It could automatically weave cloth in any design you could imagine, from a simple plaid to fancy brocade to actual pictures of people, trees, and animals. But how did the loom know which pattern to weave? That was the amazing part. The design was translated into a pattern of holes punched into heavy paper cards. Long chains of these cards were fed into the loom, giving it instructions. To change the design, you only had to change the cards. Ada was amazed. It was a brilliant idea, and not just for weaving cloth. Why not use punched cards to direct other machines for other purposes? Ada was onto something. Soon she would see how right she was. Ada was dazzled by the guild. At 17, Ada's quiet childhood came to an end. Her mother took her to London for the summer social season, a round of teas, dinners, and dances. Ada was dazzled by the gilded ballrooms and the beautiful ladies in their gleaming satin gowns. Everyone wanted to meet Ada because she was Lord Byron's daughter. But Ada didn't know what to say to them. She didn't care about fashion, fox hunting, or court gossip. Then she went to one of the weekly gatherings at the home of Charles Babbage, the great mathematician and inventor. All the interesting people went to his parties, from the writer Charles Dickens to the scientist Charles Darwin. As Ada moved through the crowd from one amazing conversation to another, she grew almost dizzy with excitement. They talked about important things: astronomy and politics, literature and art, and the latest engineering marvels. These were her kind of people. A few days later, Ada went to see a working portion of Babbage's new invention, a calculating machine called the difference engine. People called it a thinking machine, but Ada knew better. The intelligence was not in the machine itself, but in the genius of its designer. Ada felt an instant connection with Charles Babbage. She even dreamed of one day helping him with his important work. And so began one of the most remarkable friendships in the history of science. When Lady Byron had other plans for her daughter, Ada didn't need a profession. What she needed was a husband. So, at 19, Ada married a wealthy aristocrat, William, Lord King, and he became the Earl of Lovelace. Ada Byron King changed her name once again. She would go down in history known as Ada Lovelace. By the time she was 24, Ada had 2 children running wild in the nursery and one still crying in his cradle, but she hadn't lost sight of her dream, just postponed it. Now, at last, her moment had come. Babbage was working on a revolutionary new machine called the analytical engine. It would be powered by steam, because there was no electricity in those days, and it could do much more than just add and subtract. The analytical engine could run any kind of mathematical calculation, then store the results for later. Best of all, he had borrowed Jacquard's idea of using punched cards to direct his engine, so it could easily change from one operation to another. In short, Charles Babbage had invented the first fully programmable all-purpose digital computer. But there was a problem. So far, his engine was just a plan on paper. It would cost a fortune to build. To raise that kind of money, Babbage needed publicity. This was Ada's chance to help. An article had been written about the analytical engine, but it was in French. Ada translated it into English so it could be published in Britain. Then Babbage asked her to add some footnotes at the end, explaining what an all-purpose computing machine could do. She was perfect for the job. She understood how the machine worked. She was a good writer, and she had the vision to see, even better than Babbage himself, how much more a computer could do besides just processing numbers. It could work with any kind of symbol, from words to musical notes. Ada imagined the analytical engine writing text, composing music, reproducing images, and playing games like checkers or chess. But before the machine could do any of those things, the symbols and rules of operation had to be changed to digital form. Today we call that programming. Ada needed to explain to her readers exactly how that could be done. As an example to work with, she and Babbage chose an extremely complicated series of calculations called the numbers of Bernoulli, and then Ada showed step by tiny step how they could be coded for the machine. Finally, after 9 months of meticulous work, sketch of the analytical engine invented by Charles Babbage was published. Ada's notes by the translator were almost 3 times as long as the original article and far more important. Yet she wasn't credited by name, only the initials AAL. She was afraid her work wouldn't be taken seriously if they knew it was written by a woman. Ada didn't care. The girl who had once dreamed of flying, who longed to do something important with her mind, had soared at last. She had looked into the future and imagined a computer age that wouldn't arrive for another 100 years. And in demonstrating how to code the numbers of Bernoulli, Ada Lovelace had written the first computer program ever published. That's pretty cool. In fact, there's quite a few things that have been invented by kids, particularly toy trucks, earmuffs, popsicles, the trampoline. Those were all things that were invented by kids, and something that we're kind of celebrating with Kid Inventor Day.